In this example, we're going to simplify two expressions involving negative exponents. We will approach each of these examples from two different ways to show you that there are different ways you can approach any one of these problems. It is not that one of these approaches will be better than the other, it's that hopefully one will make more sense to you, and you will end up using the approach that makes more sense to you as you simplify. In part A, we have r divided by r to the negative 3. One option is to use our quotient rule, which says that we'll subtract the denominator's exponent from the numerator. To do this, we have to remember that r in the numerator means r to the first. So r to the first divided by r to the negative 3 means r to the 1 minus negative 3. Well, 1 minus negative 3 is really 1 plus 3, and 1 plus 3 is 4. So r to the first divided by r to the negative third is r to the fourth. Another approach to the same problem in part B is, instead of dealing with the subtraction, is to focus on any term that has a negative exponent, reminding ourselves that a negative exponent means we're dealing with the reciprocal, or it belongs on the other side of the fraction. R over r to the negative third could be rewritten as r times r to the positive 3. When we move that factor to the other side of the fraction, the sign on the exponent gets reversed. And r to the first times r to the third equals r to the fourth. Both approaches give you the same result. Both approaches are completely correct. You need to figure out which one makes more sense to you and go with that approach. We'll now work with C and D. C and D are the same expression, but we'll approach them using the two different ways. On part C, I'll approach it like I did on part A. The rule for exponents is I will subtract the denominator's exponent from the numerator. So t to the negative fourth divided by t to the sixth becomes t to the negative 4 minus 6. Well, negative 4 minus 6 is negative 10. You'll notice up in the directions it says specifically, do not leave negative exponents in your final answer. That is a fairly common rule to have when you're working in algebra. Because of that rule, we will want to take t to the negative 10th one step further. We'll want to remember that t to the negative 10th was originally over 1. The negative on the exponent tells us we're dealing with the reciprocal of that factor, so t to the negative 10th up in the top really belongs down in the bottom as a t to the positive 10th. And once that t to the negative 10th moved to the denominator, we need to make sure we still have a 1 up in the numerator. In part D, we will approach the same expression, t to the negative 4th over t to the 6th, but instead of approaching it with the quotient rule, which has you subtract the two exponents, we'll approach it from the negative exponent rule. Any factor that has a negative exponent will deal with its reciprocal. It will move to the other side of the fraction. So t to the negative 4th over t to the 6th will become 1 over t to the 4th times t to the 6th. In this situation, we're now dealing with multiplication. T to the 4th times t to the 6th is t to the 10th. So our final answer is still the same, 1 over t to the 10th. Whether you choose to move the negative exponent as your first step, like we did on parts B and D, or you choose to just deal with the quotient rule and subtract the exponents like we did on A and C, it is completely your choice. You want to practice one of those approaches and become very confident, very comfortable with that approach. And once you're confident with that, then try to expand into the other approach.